Willard Van Orman Quine was an American philosopher and logician in the analytic tradition, recognized as one of the most influential philosophers of the 20th century, from 1930 until his death 70 years later. Quine was continually affiliated with Harvard University in one way or another, first as a student, then as a professor of philosophy and a teacher of logic and set theory, and finally as a professor emeritus who published or revised several books in retirement. He filled the Edgar Pierce Chair of Philosophy at Harvard from 1956 to 1978. A 2009 poll conducted among analytic philosophers named Quine as the fifth most important philosopher of the past 2 centuries. He won the first Schock Prize in Logic and Philosophy in 1993 for his systematical and penetrating discussions of how learning of language and communication are based on socially available evidence and of the consequences of this for theories on knowledge and linguistic meaning. In 1996 he was awarded the Kyoto Prize in Arts and Philosophy for his outstanding contributions to the progress of philosophy in the 20th century by proposing numerous theories based on keen insights in logic, epistemology, philosophy of science and philosophy of language. Quine falls squarely into the analytic philosophy tradition while also being the main proponent of the view that philosophy is not conceptual analysis but the abstract branch of the empirical sciences. His major writings include 2 Dogmas of Empiricism, which attacked the distinction between analytic and synthetic propositions and advocated a form of semantic holism, and Word and Object. He also developed an influential naturalized epistemology that tried to provide an improved scientific explanation of how we have developed elaborate scientific theories on the basis of meager sensory input. He is also important in philosophy of science for his systematic attempt to understand science from within the resources of science itself, and for his conception of philosophy as continuous with science. This led to his famous quip that philosophy of science is philosophy enough. In philosophy of mathematics, he and his Harvard colleague Hilary Putnam developed the Quine-Putnam indispensability thesis, an argument for the reality of mathematical entities. Biography. According to his autobiography, The Time of My Life, Quine grew up in Akron, Ohio, where he lived with his parents and older brother Robert C. His father, Cloyd R., was a manufacturing entrepreneur and his mother, Harriet E., was a schoolteacher and later a housewife. He received his B.A. in mathematics from Oberlin College in 1930, and his Ph.D. in philosophy from Harvard University in 1932. His thesis supervisor was Alfred North Whitehead. He was then appointed a Harvard Junior Fellow, which excused him from having to teach for 4 years. During the academic year 1932-33, he traveled in Europe thanks to a Sheldon Fellowship, meeting Polish logicians and members of the Vienna Circle, as well as the logical positivist A.J. Ayer. It was through Quine's good offices that Alfred Tarski was invited to attend the September 1939 Unity of Science Congress in Cambridge. To attend that Congress, Tarski sailed for the USA on the last ship to leave Danzig before the Third Reich invaded Poland. Tarski survived the war and worked another 44 years in the USA. During World War II, Quine lectured on logic in Brazil, in Portuguese, and served in the United States Navy in a military intelligence role, deciphering messages from German submarines, and reaching the rank of lieutenant commander. At Harvard, Quine helped supervise the Harvard theses of, among others, Donald Davidson, Hubert Dreyfus, David Lewis, Daniel Dennett, Gilbert Hamann, Dagfinn Fosdale, Hao Wang, Hugues Leblanc and Henry His. For the academic year 1964-1965, Quine was a fellow on the faculty in the Center for Advanced Studies at Wesleyan University. Quine was an atheist. He had 4 children by 2 marriages. Guitarist Robert Quine was his nephew. Political beliefs: Quine was politically conservative, but the bulk of his writing was in technical areas of philosophy removed from direct political issues. He did, however, write in defense of several conservative positions. For example, in Quiddities, an intermittently philosophical dictionary, he wrote of defense of moral censorship, while, in his autobiography, he made some criticisms of American post-war academic culture.